Okay, so you just bought yourself an E46 BMW. It's 10 years old, it's probably got really high mileage, and you're thinking, sweet, I bought it for 5,000 bucks, I'm gonna turn it into a drift monster. Great, I'm gonna tell you how to do that while still saving face in the online community, so you don't take any heat from the veterans who've been tuning these cars for years. Here's a few things to get you going tuning your first BMW. Okay, so I've been where you are before. It's your first BMW, you got tons of money for mods, you're ready to start going at it. Good, have fun. I'm here to tell you though that you probably should do some maintenance first. Some people might argue that BMWs are unreliable. That might be the case, but they certainly are robust. If you take care of them, they might outlast you. I just heard of a BMW that went up to 500,000 miles. That's a long time on the original block. If you think you're gonna put a chintzy spoiler and a set of $500 coilovers on a BMW that hasn't had a cooling system refresh or had the valve cover gasket changed, that's kind of like putting freshly grated Parmesan and hand-picked basil on Chef Boyardee. Before you drop $1,000 on a new set of BBS alloys, you should at least do the following. Your cooling expansion tank is probably going to pop soon. Replace it. You should do the water pump. You should probably do the thermostat while you're at it. The valve cover gasket is probably all cracked and is leaking oil. The oil filter housing gasket is probably all cracked and is leaking oil. In the intake system, probably replace your air filter. Going in, throttle body, clean it out. DC valve, clean it out. Idle control valve, clean it out. It's expensive, I know. In the drivetrain, your flex disc is probably all cracked and worn. Replace it. Center support bearing, probably worn out. Replace it. Change the fluid in both your differential and your transmission. Probably needs to be replaced. Do a lot of research on what to use. Change the engine oil frequently, often, especially if you're driving it on the track. I would recommend, you know what? I'm not even going to recommend oil because everyone's going to disagree with me no matter what I say. I use Mobil 1. Sorry to those who don't. Okay? I know it sounds like a lot, and it is. Maintaining a BMW is a lot more expensive than maintaining a Honda or whatever else you might buy. But in my opinion, it's worth it. If you do it properly, just keeping a well-maintained BMW is a very satisfying endeavor, even if you don't tune it. It's up to you. Okay, this recommendation is very important. Please do this. You're gonna get a lot of heat from the community if you don't. Use the search function, either in Google or the search function within a forum, or the search function on a Facebook group. Guaranteed, almost 100% guaranteed. If you have a question about performance, modifications, maintenance, someone else has had the same question as you, and it's been answered by 62 people in incredible detail, and there's probably a 14-page DIY on how to do it yourself. Okay, so before you walk onto a forum and say, hey, does anyone make headers for our car? That's gonna sound like walking into a grocery store and saying like, hey, do you guys sell food? So make sure you do some reading, do some research, at least Google it. I guarantee somebody else has asked the same question as you, okay? There's a huge knowledge base of information out there for BMWs. Use the community to your advantage. When you're ready to contribute, give back. Thinking, well, this sounds a little bit annoying. All I want to do is tune my BMW and you're telling me I have to do all this maintenance first. Well, it is a little bit annoying to be honest, but that's the reality of it. It's about to get worse. If you're actually truly concerned with performance, you're concerned about lap times, autocross, time trials, whatever, or real racing, whatever it is, unfortunately, this is the hierarchy of performance modifications. It goes like this. Driver, so you need to get better yourself, spend some time on the track in your stock E46. Tires, I know, who cares, right? They're just black and the rubber and they go on the road. It makes a big difference. Suspension and brakes, before you even bother with the engine, make sure your suspension is refreshed, make sure you've got a good set of track pads. Then power. Sorry, I'll go into power next, okay? So that's the hierarchy of performance modifications to actually make a difference for you as a driver, for turning out lap times, racing, whatever it is you're doing. Okay, starting to rain, I'm gonna go quickly. We're finally on to power modifications. So I don't buy the whole, whoa, if you want a more powerful BMW, you should have bought an M3 or you should have bought a 330. No, you know what? Tuning one of these is very rewarding and it's very exciting to do. I have a 325. all right? Bringing it up to the power level of a 330 might seem pointless to some, but to me, it's very valuable, okay? I enjoy doing it. So right off the bat, unless you go forced induction, I'm talking a supercharger, $6,000. You're looking at headers, okay? You're gonna get 15, 20 horsepower, arguably up and down with headers. The problem is, unless you want to kill Bambi, you're going to have to put some catalytic converters in, because the catalytic converters are in the headers. Depending on your emissions regulations and where you are. Holy, it's really raining now. Okay, put a bag over the camera. You have to do an aftermarket exhaust system so that you can still meet emissions regulations. After that, some people say a cold air intake is going to give you a few horsepower. Nah, not really. Who cares? Use the stock air box and put a fresh air filter in it. It's very well tuned from the BMW factory. You can put a hot diff in, so you could get a 3.46 diff or a 3.38. If you have a manual, it probably came with a 3.15. That's going to make a big difference. If you're really concerned about handling, getting the power down, limited slip differential. That's a whole new video, okay? So those are a few things really quickly right off the bat that you can do. Any of those things are going to be coupled with an ECU tune or some sort of software tune. That's a really good idea too. You can raise the rev limiter, you can change the top speed, whether you're ever going to be able to reach it. There's not that much you can do, but honestly, every single little step that you take is pretty rewarding. Okay, it's really raining now. I'm going to go. See you guys later.